You were talking about community resources. I know here in Meridian, the local colleges have special programs for single parents or widowed parents. I mean, I didn't know about that when I was attending these local colleges, but I wasn't in need for that. So
Right.
to know that if you're going through a situation and there's a roadblock or a stumbling block that comes along your way, speak to your academic advisors, speak to your supervisor at work, because there are programs out there, workplace programs to help protect you. There are agencies that are just made for just that purpose, to help you increase your safety and support your wellness and your goals. So
Absolutely.
being afraid to ask or share, disclose what you're going through, you don't have to tell them your whole story. Just let them know that you're having trouble and you want to have your goal met. And a lot of times I've seen the support there, that they would support you on your journey. Looking back at your fast forward chapter, I wrote out a question. I said, why do you believe it was so natural for you to revert back to living to make your spouse happy? Because that has been something that you had already gone through, and then you came through this huge monument of self-discovery and getting closer to God, walking closer in your faith and being really steadfast and coming out strong. And then you found yourself doing that again. And this is very common for people who have been through abusive situations. But before my pen left the paper, girl, you answered my question 3 sentences later. And I wrote, because my love of helping people and willingness to sacrifice myself took precedence over good judgment, which allowed me to slip back into the place in which I was once set free. Bam. And that's right. You have a love for people and you wanted to see the best in them come out. And that is a gift that you have.
Right.
And you're a nurse. I mean, you're doing this for a profession. You're trying to help people heal. And so you were practicing your giftedness like you were designed to do. It just so happens that at the moment, they weren't reciprocating what you were trying to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's important to use wisdom.
Mm.
And I think that's where a lot of us make mistakes or we fail because we don't think things through. Or in a relationship, we see the surface value. Like you said, we don't dig deep and see those underlying issues. We don't wait long enough to let time pass and observe how people walk through the seasons of their life. Of course, it played a huge factor in that, moving too fast and just wanting to help. And even looking at it now, maybe it was just meant to be a friendship and a helping relationship and not a marriage. So I look at it, it is what it is.
Wow, you just paralleled something. I was listening to a podcast from Fresh Life Church, and they were talking about relationship intelligence and how sometimes there are people that are meant to be in your life for a certain position and timing, and it's got to be synced up. And you just said it. I mean, maybe they were meant to be just a relationship, a friendship to uplift one another. But if you got too close to that person, that's when all those things started unfolding, which is also common, right? With abusive relationships, when you are first courting or dating, talking for the younger folks,
Right.
Everybody's on their A game. They're charming and
Absolutely.
perfect. And then when you feel like you are in the relationship, whether it's dating or marriage, they start to unveil some things about themselves slowly over time. And I heard through your second marriage, that was kind of what happened. Like it was hopeful and it was good. But then over time, the way that they dealt with life and everyday stressors, they didn't know how to cope with that stuff.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
They didn't
Absolutely.
have the resilience that they needed to deal with life and the challenges that we face every day. I mean, this wasn't, a lot of the things that you brought up weren't major things. It was like bills or budgeting. Financial abuse is one of the number one reasons why people stay in a relationship,
Right.
but also one of the top contributing factors toward toxicity building up in a relationship.
Exactly.
Man, this book is just full of good nuggets, and there was nothing I read in here that was not something I have not heard from several people that have dealt with similar things that you have gone through. And I'm so glad that you brought your story to life through the written word, because it's a safe way to explore what you're dealing with. And at the end of each chapter, having those reflective questions, I loved it. Let's talk about it, right? And you point back to things that you discuss and unpack in your chapters, and you challenge the reader and you say, hey, how is this applying to you? How are your relationships right now? And can you see yourself in my story? And you invite them in on your walk, and you challenge them to look at it for face value. Can you bring any insight to what you have gone through? I mean, you've done this in a resilient way, and it was no easy battle to be won. But you've come out on the other end, and you're aspiring to empower other people through mentorship.
Yes.
You're on Facebook, and you do these talks that people can join in on and just feel encouraged and supported. Do you mind sharing a little bit about what life looks like for you now?
Freedom. That is the one word that sums it up for me. Being able to be in a place where I can think for myself, where I can be free to make my own decisions. And they're good decisions because I've had the growth and the wisdom to do just that. Not searching for the approval of somebody else. That was another big thing, that it feels like being in charge of my own life instead of letting somebody else do it. And it feels great. When I first came out of that glass bowl, as you spoke, it was a euphoria, a total shock. I didn't know what this felt like. Here I am in my age, and this is the first time in a long time that I felt that way. So it feels absolutely fantastic. And I'm in a place now, I will not let anything else stop that. Once you have this great feeling, and once you have the wisdom and the knowledge of how to do this and how to do that, you can't go back. It's like you're eating a steak. Why would you go back and eat a piece of bologna? You've had this taste of something great. So I'm going to stay right here. I'm not going to go for sloppy seconds. So it helps, that's the best analogy I can think of. It's absolutely wonderful. It feels like I'm breathing in fresh air, and I can feel it go all the way down my lungs and all the way out. When I know that I used to wear my pain, you can see it. I used to wear my depression. I used to wear my oppression. You could see it on me. And then especially the people who are closer to me, my family, you just look different. You look so good. There's a light about you. Yes, it's called freedom. It's called peace. And it is, that's the best way I can explain it. Freedom and being at peace with myself, and just having just pure joy in where I am in life, and actually having dreams. And I just think about, in 17, 20 years, I've never had big dreams. Like, I want to go move here. I want to go do this. I want to go do that. Right now I'm doing things I never even dreamed of doing. This is just a small thing, writing a book. It's a big thing, but it's a small thing. It's a small book. It's a quick read. It's not intimidating, but to put myself all the way out there, to bear everything that was painful and embarrassing to me, but I knew this is what I had to do so my heart could heal. This is what I can do, because I knew I wasn't the only one suffering. And I don't want anybody else to go through what I went through just to keep up an image, just to satisfy somebody else. That is unacceptable. So I don't want anybody else to do that. That's where my heart is. You shouldn't. And you're worth more than that. You have to know your value. It's so important. And at that time, I didn't know my value. I let somebody else dictate what my value was. And that's why I just became a doormat. I allowed somebody else to tell me that. But once I woke up and I realized I'm valuable, I can do a lot of things, and I'm going to do them, and nobody's going to stop me from doing it. I want to be productive in life, and just instead of just sitting here and taking orders and being in the background, that's not me anymore. That's not the person I was created to be.